The Laugh Before the Storm. June 22nd, 1941. 3:15 hours. Eastern Poland, near the Bug River. The night explodes without warning. Artillery flashes rip open the darkness. White-hot bursts rolling across the riverbanks. The ground shudders. Horses scream. Men jolt awake inside canvas tents as the sky itself seems a fracture. German panzer engines snarl to life. Exhaust coughing into the cold dawn air. Steel tracks grind forward, crushing grass. Stones. Prayer books dropped in a rush. You can smell oil and wet earth. A lieutenant yanks his field cap down and shouts over thunder, voice already hoarse. Infantry from the 29th Motorized Division sprint toward the crossings, boots slipping on dew-slick mud. Engineers shove assault boats into black water, while tracer rounds stitch red scars across the surface. Somewhere behind them, a radio crackles. Static, then a single word repeated like a drumbeat. Vorwärts. As the sun claws its way up, it reveals an impossible sight. Columns without end. Panzers, Panzer IIIs, IVs, lined wheel to wheel. Half-tracks stacked with fuel cans. Trucks bulging with ammunition. Men laughing. Smoking. Writing quick notes home. Convinced they'll be back before autumn. Inside one command vehicle, General Oberst Heinz Guderian studies his map. Finger sliding east. He has done this before. Poland collapsed in weeks. France in days. The Red Army, they say, is clumsy, leaderless, brittle. A giant waiting to fall. Engines roar. The advance begins. Villages blur past in clouds of dust. Soviet border posts vanish under direct fire. Prisoners stumble back west, stunned, hands raised, some still wearing gym shoes instead of boots. Luftwaffe Stukas scream downward, sirens howling, pinning entire regiments to the earth. By noon, the roads are choked with wreckage, burned trucks, abandoned guns, the sharp metallic stink of blood and cordite. The pace is merciless. Orders come fast. Encircle, bypass resistance, drive east, always east. By nightfall, panzer crews eat cold rations atop their tanks, watching distant fires paint the horizon orange. Someone jokes that Moscow is already lost. Laughter ripples down the line, easy and confident. Victory feels inevitable, mechanical, precise, unstoppable. No one notices the small things yet. The way fuel trucks are already lagging behind. The way engines need longer to start. The way the night seems sharper here. Far ahead, beyond the maps and the laughter, the land stretches on, vast, silent, waiting. And it is not afraid. The long road east. July 10th, 1941. 1440 hours. Western Belarus. Outside Minsk. The road is a ribbon of dust and exhaustion. Panzer columns snake through endless fields. Their once pristine gray now dulled, caked with grime. Engines overheat in the afternoon sun. Hatches thrown open as crews gasp for air. The victories are real. Entire Soviet armies swallowed in massive encirclements. But the distance is relentless, devouring time, fuel, men. You feel it first in the pauses. Trucks idle longer at halts. Drivers slump over steering wheels. Faces streaked white with salt. Field kitchens fail to catch up. Rations come late, if at all. Men chew hard bread and joke less. Maps are redrawn daily, arrows stretching farther than anyone expected. Guderian's panzers roll through Minsk and don't stop. Burned out T, 26 tanks line the roadside, their turrets blown open like cracked eggs. Prisoners march west in columns, so long they disappear into the haze. A Feldwebel watches them pass and mutters that there can't be any Soviets left to fight. Yet each night, the gunfire creeps closer to camp. Snipers crack shots from tree leans. Bridges vanish in thunderous demolitions moments before German vanguards reach them. The enemy refuses to stay dead. Radio operators curse as signals fade. Wires are cut. Orders arrive garbled, late, sometimes contradicting each other. Infantry divisions lag miles behind the armor. Boots shredded by the march. Horses collapse in harnesses. Sides heaving, eyes glassy. And still the order is the same. Whiter, faster. By August, the dust turns to mud with sudden summer storms. Vehicles bog down axle deep. Crews push curse, lay logs under tracks while Soviet artillery thumps unseen from beyond the horizon. Recovery vehicles are scarce. When a panzer breaks down now, it's often left where it stands, another silent carcass marking the advance. In the evenings, men gather around radios, listening to Berlin broadcasts promising imminent victory. Moscow, they're told, is within reach. One final blow and the war in the east will be over. Yet in the half-light, as mechanics struggle with worn parts and empty fuel drums, doubt creeps in. The land doesn't shrink. It expands. Forests thicken. Roads narrow. Supply convoys stretch thin, vulnerable, snapping under partisan ambushes. Each kilometer forward costs more than the last. Every success demands another push, another gamble. And somewhere ahead, beyond Smolensk, beyond the map's neat lines, the summer is already beginning to fade. The nights grow colder. When autumn bled the army. October 7th, 1941. 6:20 hours. Approaches to Vyazma. The rain does not stop. It turns roads into rivers and fields into traps. What was once dust now sucks at boots and tracks with a wet, hungry sound. Men wake to find their vehicles half swallowed. Mud creeping up the holes like a living thing. This is Rasputitsa, the Russian autumn, and it has no mercy. Panzers strain forward at walking pace. Engines scream, then stall. Crews leap down, boots disappearing to the ankle, the knee. Horses collapse, legs snapping under the weight of guns that refuse to move. Columns stretch and bunch, perfect targets for Soviet artillery firing blind through fog. You can feel the tempo break. Guderian spearheads still reach deep, carving another vast encirclement near Vyazma. Tens of thousands of Red Army soldiers are trapped. The maps and headquarters glow with success. But the ground tells a different story. Each kilometer forward now costs hours. Each halt lasts days. Fuel arrives late, if it arrives at all. A panzer commander studies his gauge, needle hovering near empty. He kills the engine and listens to the rain drum against steel. Somewhere ahead, Moscow waits. Somewhere behind, the supply depots are hundreds of kilometers away, linked by roads that no longer exist. The Luftwaffe struggles too. Airfields dissolve into mud. Fighters sit wing deep, unable to take off. When they do fly, they find fewer targets and more resistance. Soviet aircraft, once shattered, reappear in ones and twos, harassing convoys, strafing columns stuck helpless on the roads. The men feel it in their bones. Uniforms rot. Feet blister, then split. Lice spread to the ranks. Letters from home speak of harvest and warm kitchens, of a war everyone assumes is nearly won. In the trenches, the laughter is gone. Officers push their units harder, afraid of what stopping might mean. Orders crackle over radios. Moscow before winter. Moscow at all costs. Then, one morning, the rain stops. The ground stiffens overnight, not into firm earth, but into ice-laced ruts sharp as knives. Vehicles break axles. Fingers numb around tools. Breath hangs thick in the air. Frost glitters on helmets at dawn. The first snow falls lightly, almost beautiful. It does not melt. In the distance, Soviet resistance stiffens, no longer retreating in panic, but standing, digging, bleeding. Fresh units appear, better clothed, better prepared. Whispers spread through the ranks of a general named Zhukov. The road to Moscow is still open, but it is narrowing, and winter is now marching faster than the Wehrmacht. The freeze before Moscow. November 30th, 1941. 5:10 hours. Klin, northwest of Moscow. The cold hits like a weapon. Not a slow chill, but a sudden, brutal force that steals breath and feeling in seconds. Thermometers freeze at -30. Oil thickens the sludge. Steel burns bare skin. Men wake in foxholes, unable to move their fingers, afraid to sleep again. Engines refuse to start. Panzer crews build fires beneath crankcases, feeding them precious fuel, praying the metal will warm enough to turn. Many don't. Batteries die overnight. Grease congeals. Weapons jam after a single burst. A rifle bolt, once smooth, now needs a boot heel to force it open. You can hear it everywhere, the sound of failure. Orders still come. Advance on Moscow. The city is close enough now that some units can see its distant glow reflected in clouds at night. Church spires, factory chimneys. The prize is there, just beyond frozen forests and snow-choked villages. But the men are breaking. Greatcoats are scarce. Winter boots non-existent. Soldiers wrap feet in rags, newspapers, anything to keep flesh from freezing solid. Frostbite claims toes, fingers, noses. Medics amputate with shaking hands in barns that reek of blood and smoke. The Red Army does not freeze the same way. From the east come fresh Siberian divisions. Faces hard, uniforms white, skis gliding silently over snow the Germans can barely walk through. They strike at dawn and vanish by dusk, hitting flanks, supply columns, isolated strong points. Artillery pounds frozen positions with ruthless precision. Zhukov's hand is everywhere now. German lines thin to threads. Gaps open. A company here. A battalion there. Men dig in with entrenching tools that spark against frozen earth. Some use explosives just to break ground. Others give up and crouch behind tanks that no longer move. At headquarters, maps still show arrows pointing east. But the reality on the ground is static, paralyzed. The Wehrmacht, once fluid and unstoppable, is locked in place by cold and exhaustion. Then, in early December, the order comes. Not to advance, but to hold. It spreads quietly at first, passed from officer to officer, then whispered among the men. Hold your ground. No retreat. The Führer forbids it. The temperature drops again. And in the frozen silence before dawn, Soviet artillery begins to fire, not as harassing shots, but as preparation. This time, the attack is coming west. Laughter turns to panic. December 5th, 1941, 6:45 hours. Western Front outside Moscow. The horizon erupts. Soviet artillery crashes down in waves, a rolling thunder that shakes frozen earth and shatters the morning stillness. Shells burst among German positions, flinging snow, splinters, bodies into the air. Men scramble for cover, fingers numb, rifles sluggish in their hands. Then the Red Army comes. Infantry advances in white camouflage, moving fast, disciplined, relentless. Skis whisper over snow. 34 tanks emerge in the treeline, engines roaring confidently in the cold, their sloped armor shrugging off panic shots. German anti-tank guns fire, misfire, jam. Crews hammer frozen breaches, screaming at metal that refuses to cooperate. You feel the shift immediately. This is no delaying action. This is a counteroffensive. German units fall back in confusion, some under orders, many without. Communications collapse as radios freeze and wires snap. Officers try to rally their men, voices cracking, but formations dissolve into knots of survivors fighting simply to escape encirclement. The roads become death traps. Vehicles abandoned weeks earlier now serve as frozen landmarks, each one a reminder of how far and how blindly the advance had gone. Wounded men stumble west, beards rime with ice, eyes hollow. Some collapse and are left where they fall, bodies quickly covered by drifting snow. At higher command, disbelief turns to fury. Hitler rages from afar, demanding stands to the last man, forbidding withdrawals that might save entire divisions. Guderian argues, pleads, is relieved of command. The architect of the lightning advance is silenced as the front cracks. The laughter of June is gone. In its place, panic, cold, and the gnawing realization that the war was never meant to end here. German units dig in desperately, forming a ragged defensive line as the Soviets push them back dozens, then hundreds of kilometers. Moscow holds. The Wehrmacht survives, but just barely. It is no longer invincible. For the first time, the German army has been stopped, not by a single battle, but by distance, resistance, and winter. As the front stabilizes in the new year, the snow-covered fields around Moscow are littered with wrecks, of machines, of plans, of certainty. What began as a confident march east has become a grinding war of survival, and deep in the frozen soil lies the truth the Reich refused to see. Russia did not break. It endured, and now it would push back.